your audience or your potential fan has to reach for the volume knob to turn your mix down because it's hurting their ears, you've already lost. So does your mix and master pass the volume test? Do people want to turn your song down, or they want to turn it up and start dancing to it? Let me show you what you might be doing wrong with your mid-range and how to fix it. Good job getting. The mid-range is where everything fights for attention in the mix, okay? You're going to have the most sacred place in your mix is your mid-range, right? And when we talk about mid-range, we're talking about anywhere from like 400, 500 hertz, all the way up to the top, right? You have the high mids, which is like around 7, 8K area. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on using this plugin by Newfangled Audio. It's called Fixate Mid-Range. And obviously that's pretty appropriate for talking about the mid-range. But also this plugin does it better than any other plugin I've found to mess with these mid-range problems. And it does it simple. And I think that that's really key when it comes to working with any plugin. Like any plugin I talk about on this channel, it's because it's simple and it sounds good, right? I'm not trying to get overly complicated with my plugins or my process. I just want it to get to that end goal result as fast as possible. I'm trying to make records and share music with you guys, and maybe not just you guys, but my fans of the music. You know, some of you just want to learn how to get more fans of your music as well, and that's a great thing as well. So what do we have here, and how does this work? I have this right now on my master bus before my master bus processing. You can really put this anywhere in the chain, but it's on my master bus, and that's really what this plugin is mainly made for. As you can see, there's kind of some default presets and stuff like mastering, vocals, and then you have some presets from different engineers. So Daniel Gillespie, Miguel, Newfangled Audio, right? Cool. But the number one thing you're going to do here is you're going to hit this reanalyze. And I think it's because it's already analyzed the program material, right? But I'm going to hit reanalyze, and I'm going to play the song with this on my master bus. And we're playing the chorus right now. Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. And every stumble, every season that we grew. All right, once we've analyzed the audio, we're going to get this main page here, which is going to show us an overall kind of fingerprint of our curve of our EQ. We have a resonance page here, which is going to allow us to look at the resonant areas. And I kind of soloed these out in the previous kind of section of this video, where you can hear the mud area, the thin area, the honk, the nasal, and the harsh. And of course, we have all these with D. So D harsh, D nasal, etc. So this is really cool because we can go completely mid, or we can go completely mid side, right? Or we can kind of blend, you know, in between the two. So we can go like all sides, all mid, or we could kind of be like, okay, let's go like 50%. So we're reaching kind of stereo. Okay. This is awesome. I love the way this is set up. It took me a little bit to understand it, but for you, it's going to be a lot easier because you're watching this video, right? So the D harsh, and you can see this is showing you exactly the frequency range where the harshness is, but you can also just solo it out, right? Or you can even do the delta of it. So once you start using the processor, you can see that starts to go down because of the threshold. So that's going to actually allow you, if you hit the delta, it'll play what you're actually taking out, right? So that's also really cool. But then you have the third page, was the balance. And this is the page that I think is really the most useful because you have like the EQ curve down here, the overall EQ curve. And you have the ability to turn off or on the high or low. Okay. So this is kind of cool because sometimes you don't want to even touch the high end. You're like, my air is like perfect. And remember, we're talking about the mid range. My sub is perfect. Don't touch that. Don't affect that. You can see these are all bands. Okay. So as we go to the main, we can go from source, which is what it read, and you can go to the profile, which is going to flatten it. Now, we don't always want flat in a mix. I don't think that's always very interesting, but we do want to pay attention to the Fletcher Munson curve. Okay. I'm going to put that on screen right here. And what the Fletcher Munson curve is, and please do your research on this, is it shows you how we perceive audio physiologically as human beings. Okay. Over time, we have evolved to hear the mid-range a lot more
a lot louder just through like babies crying, sirens, things like that, right? So it helped us to protect ourselves and to protect our babies. A baby cries in that like 2K area, right? So that is going to be right in here, and that's going to be the mid-range. And the mid-range is, we're much more sensitive to the mid-range in that area than we are to the low or the high. So the mid-range, we're very sensitive to it, which means it can get very harsh. It could get nasally, honky, you know, it can have all these issues in it that we hear as humans and we go, turn it down. So this is kind of just a little overview of the plugin and how it works and what we're going to be paying attention to. But now let's go into actually processing on the master bus. Master bus mid-range fixing. This is probably the most important overall for shaping your mix. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by just hitting the fix button. And as you hit the fix button, what it's going to do is go, here's what I recommend. Yeah. Based on the profile that it learned and it heard, it's going to recommend, here's what you're going to fix with the resonance. By the way, you can turn any of these off. Like you could fix the balance, turn it on and off. You can just fix the resonance or the balance overall, the tonal balance. And then you could come in here and you could tweak any of this stuff. And then you can see from the balance here what you could do here. So this says ideal at 50%. You can go profile, which is like 100% fixing. And this will be obviously not ideal, but it's, you know, it's a taste thing. I think everything you're doing with your song is a taste thing. So you can do just a little bit of it. Let's do 23% on the actual balance, right? But overall, if I just hit fix, it's going to give me what it thinks. Hey, we got to fix the nasal a lot, the harshness a lot. D-Honk, it's like 90%, right? So, and then you can see it also changed the sides and everything. So 57% to the side. This is 100% to the sides on the D-Thin, 50%. So it's like very intelligent and it's doing a great job with this stuff. But let's hear what it came up with.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did? And every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes full bloom.
All right, just A-Bing it in and out. I think what it's doing is overprocessing just a bit, right? So let's back off all of these first. I think that's kind of the key here. We're going to go to the D mud here and just kind of back off it. And I'm going to solo it so you can hear what mud is.
Good job getting right.
Now, because I want this to be a fat, thick, gooey mix with kind of like hip hop drums almost, right? Like tape hip hop drums. The D mud is not something I really want to mess with because you can hear it's taking out from the drums. And I don't want that. I want my drums to be punchy, fat, and full. So let's go to D thin here. Same thing. We're going to solo it out. We're going to tweak it. We're going to go to the delta so we can hear what it's doing. Completely unnecessary. You're not hearing anything, right? So 0. All right, and then we're going to go to D-Honk. Great. So a little bit of that, like the D-Honk is pretty good. I think that that is, that's doing a great job. And that's really the majority of the mid-range here, right? So you could see the frequencies here. And I can't actually read that because I don't have like insanely, you know, robotic vision where I can actually see what the frequencies are there. But maybe you guys can like zoom in on the screen right there. All right. So D-Nasal here. All right, so another key thing here is you have a threshold. So as you bring this up, this threshold, you're going to get less, like a threshold on a compressor. I'm bringing this up so it's not going to cross the threshold. But if I bring this down, you can actually see the meter come down, which means it's going to cross the threshold quicker, which means we're going to D-Nasal quicker, okay? So that's a good thing to adjust. So I'm gonna go to 0.5 here and check it. Beautiful. Now let's go to D harsh. This is a big one, right? So this is the top kind of stuff that's going to be pretty harsh. You know, usually harshness to me is like from 1.8 1.7, 1.8 to about like 3K area, right? That 2.5 for me, like 2.2, 2.5. Wow, that just like triggers my ear like crazy. So let's hear this soloed. Another thing that's really cool is it has a hint map, so you could kind of see the heat signatures. And then there's a fix map, so check this out.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did?
So that's a nice little visual, but I am like someone that's pretty old school with mixing and engineering. You know, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I just use my ears. I think that's super important, right? Use your ears. The other thing, you have 3 different target types. So you have transparent, natural, and controlled. Controlled obviously is going to be the most processing. So as I go to this, you're going to basically take those thresholds, and I believe in my head, in my, you know, the way that I would program this, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but it'd be like taking the actual knee and sharpening the knee, right? So yeah, it shows spectral curvature. Right, so it's like transparent would be like a really soft knee. Natural might be a little bit of a harder knee, and then controlled would be like you pass that threshold and you're gonna get, you know, D-harsh, D-nasal, D-honked. So I'm gonna go to transparent, and I'm gonna just keep it on that because I have experimented with this plugin quite a bit, and I really like transparent. And then you can also see you could go to bands here, right? So you could get into bands or you can get into spectrum. But now the big thing is, for me personally, is to be able to tweak any of these nodes. Right? So I can actually come to this 3.1 and take it up or down, right? And I can start to shape my mix how I want it to be shaped on the master bus. So let's do that now.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did? And every stumble, every season that we grew.
All right, just so you can really hear this, I'm going to boost up this 2.2 because this is something that fires off on my ear. That's like where a baby cries, you know what I mean? But listen in the vocal and what happens as I bring that up and down.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did? And
Now, obviously, you want to, in your mix, fix certain notes that are firing off too hard. Like if you hit a certain note that really resonates at 2.2, 2.5K, then you probably want to use like a multi-band or throw this plugin on your vocal mix bus or your actual vocal, which we will do next. But I'm shaping this overall and I'm taking this down just a touch. And then I'm going to, yeah, the 3.1 is kind of nice for intelligibility. I like that. And then this 1.9, yeah, 1.9 is not like, listen to this. Sometimes this could be really a harsh area.
good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did? And every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes full bloom.
Right? So we're just overall, we're shaping everything and we're taking care of resonance and we're rebalancing the mid-range, right? And you can see I have a kind of a new curve. And now I can bring it up or down, tilt it, right? So let's just tilt it to the point where we're going, that's awesome. What I recommend when you do something like this, you always A-B a lot. Just A-B, on, off, turn the volume up, down, you know what I mean? Just like really pay attention to what it's doing. Use headphones, go to your speakers, like pay attention to like what's sticking out and what's softening out and intelligibility. Are you losing intelligibility or are you just smoothing it out and it's sounding really nice and everything's sitting right? Are you getting more low end? Too much low end? Are you getting more high end? Too much high end, right? So we're just looking for a nice balance. So that's what I'm gonna do here.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. Could you remind me of the good things we did? And every stumble, every season that we grew.
Nice and smooth, beautiful, buttery, silky. I want to turn the speakers up. Like, that's what I want to do with this song right now with just this one plugin on the master bus. So now let's work on the vocal mix bus. Now that we've set an overall tonal balance and control with our mid-range on the master bus, we don't have to work as hard on the other subgroups like the vocal mix bus and the instrument mix bus. And that's what I like to do because I don't want to overprocess things. You know, I used to do that when I first started mixing. I would like overprocess everything. I would go in with an EQ and like find all the resonant frequencies and like peak them out and then cut them out. And then I realized my mixes sounded sterile and weird and you could actually hear the mix. And I don't want that. Like, now that I've been doing this for almost 30 years, you know, making music, producing, mixing, singing, recording, etc., I always just want it to feel like the song. I don't want my listener to go, man, the mix, man, you can hear the resonance and the frequencies and the reverb and the, like, an average and normal person, besides us, because we're not normal, right? They're listening to the song and they just want to feel something. And that's what I'm trying to do, is make them feel something, make them want to dance, make them want to turn the speakers up. That's what this whole video is about. It is not about you getting super scientific, critical. It's about the feeling that you get from your song. So now we're going to the vocals, and I think the most amateur sounding vocal thing you could do is have your vocal with like peaking frequencies or sounding cheap because the mid-range isn't right. That's very, very common, especially with like cheaper microphones and cheaper interfaces. Right? And a lot of people are using cheap microphones and cheap interfaces. So this might be a good tool to sort of fix those problems that those cheap microphone capsules, you know, those kind of cheapo Chinese capsules in like the NT1A and stuff like that, they're resonating at these like harsh frequencies. This could fix those things, which is a great way to do it on a budget, right? Instead of buying a 103 for $1,300 or even more expensive mic. So let's hit analyze and let's go.
I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Yeah.
Bada bing, baby. All right. So, I don't know. I get excited about stuff like this. So profile versus source. The source is the blue line. The orange is, or the white is the profile. So you see that white line right there? That's the profile. It's sort of like fixing your speakers, right? Like you're just like rebalancing it, the profile. On this, I have Fixate mid-range after my compression, little radiator, Pro Q3, you know, but these aren't doing much, like a little bit of EQ, right? So right after all my processing, I have this guy. Boom, right? We see this, we're gonna fix the balance. Let's start with that.
Good job getting right. I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Yeah. Every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes. Life always comes.
You see how it can get so intense that the vocal starts to sound really processed. That's why I took it down all the way to like a little under ideal, okay? So that's number one. And then let's go to resonance here. And let's go to, yeah, natural's good, but let's try controlled this time. Let's like really control it with all of these, you know, D-mud, D-thin, all that.
Good job getting right. I'm living for the better.
And by the way, this time I'm going to use the hint map and I'm going to look for the problem areas, and that's how I'm going to do it, okay? I'm going to listen, of course, but I'm also just going to look for those orange areas that fire off.
Good job getting right. I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Yeah. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
That sounded really buttery smooth. Like, I really like that. Another thing you want to pay attention to is when you're working with a vocal, especially like mainly the lead vocal on this is up front, right? Usually that's going to be in the middle, right? So you might want to bring in the mid, right? On the processing, we're going to process more of the middle channel rather than the sides. If you got background vocals, right? You might want to take all your backgrounds and your stacks and doubles and harmonies, bus them to their own background vocals bus, pop this on and do everything more on the sides, right? So you can kind of adjust the sides a little bit more and keep those really smooth. So nothing's popping out of the sides. Just a little tip for you, right? I say right a lot in my videos. I just notice, right? What do you guys think? Is that right? Sorry about that. Can't help it. So now we got, spectrum, bands. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to go to the balance here and just tweak the overall EQ. The reason I always end up at this balance page is because this is familiar to me. You know what I mean? Like, I can see the EQ curve and I can see, like, from an engineering perspective of doing this so long, like, I might want more of that 1K, or I might want more of that 800. Like, why is that so tucked? You know what I mean? I might want more body and push it forward. I might not want this 3K boosted up too much. Exactly.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
All right, that's sounding damn good. I'm very impressed by this plugin. Every time I use it, I'm like, wow, that didn't take much to get to where I wanted to be. Now let's A/B it real quick.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
All right, I'm gonna switch between transparent, natural, and controlled. I feel like it's doing too much.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
Beautiful. Vocals are sounding much more in the mix now. No kind of overlapping mid-range frequencies, overlapping with the synths, the guitars, and all that starting to build up. So that's kind of why we want to fix these mid-range problems. Again, because the stacking of frequencies and that voltage that stacks throughout a mix, that starts to become overwhelming. And a lot of the times it's making room for the bass and the drums, like the kick drum, the snare, all that stuff down here, right? You notice I'm not actually putting this at all on the drums. Throughout this whole video, I want to work around the drums. The vocals, drums, bass, those are like the foundation of a track like this and most tracks. That is your groove and your melody on top. Everything else should just be kind of like spices around it. So let's move on. Let's get to the instrument mix bus and fix up that and get this mix really glued and kind of working together in the mid-range. With the instruments, I want to move fast. I want to get things out of the way of the vocals, and I want to get the instruments not peaking in any areas. Like, you don't want things just going, you want it all to be smooth and controlled. So let's analyze and let's hit it.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead.
Now you'll notice I have guitars, synths, like so many things going to the instrument mix bus. If you wanted to get even more dialed in on your mix, have a lot more separation, you would put this on your guitar mix bus. You would put it on your all synths mix bus, piano mix bus, etc. So you could sort of separate things a little bit more. But what I'm hearing right now is too much stuff going on in the mid-range, right? And we want to get it out of the way. So what I'm really going to work on is making sure that nothing's in the middle. Right? So we're going to use mid-side mode a lot. But let's balance this a little bit. Let's go to the balance here. See what it's doing, right? It's bringing up this top end here. I'm going to bring that down. I don't want too much like top brilliance in the instruments because they're already pretty brilliant and they're all analog synths, acoustic instruments and analog synths. So this is great what it's doing here, bringing down that mid-range in the vocal area. That's what I love. I love to see that. And also, I want to tuck this 3K area because I feel like that's where the vocal is going to be poking a little bit more. And then let's back off this. And I love that it's bringing up this 208. That's awesome. But let's hear this.
But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes full bloom.
Just focusing the D mud in the middle is important to give space for the kick drum, the bass, and the vocal body. Right? Like the chest of the body of the vocal. So I want to do that only in the middle because that's where the kick drum, the bass, and the body of the vocal is. Okay. And now let's just check out anything else that we need to approach here.
Good job getting right, living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that
All right, taking that D-Honk out to the sides a little bit more, just so that we can make sure that the mix doesn't get too, honky in the sides. All right, so I might want to rebalance this, but, I just want to check it out, listen, use my ears a lot, and A/B a lot. So let's turn this on and off real quick. Perfect. Now let's bypass all of these Fixate mid-range here and just hear where we've come, because it's easy to get lost in the sauce. And that's kind of what I want to finish with for you guys, is give you some pro tips on this. You want to A/B often with anything you're doing like this, because the mid-range, again, is so sacred. You want to be turning on, off, A/B. Don't get too crazy with the fixing, You're like, I'm going to get D-Honk it, D-Nasal, everything. And then all of a sudden your whole mix is going to feel super scooped. So that's why I'm only doing it on instrument, vocals, and the master bus. And I'm going pretty subtle on all of these. But just A/B a lot. Like, that's so important. Take ear breaks. Ear breaks are so necessary when you're dealing with the mid-range. You cannot sit here and mix for 3 hours on your mid-range and expect that you're going to be hearing this right. Your other kind of pro tip here would be that you can actually use different mixes. So you can actually bring in a profile on this and use that profile. So you see up here, this says profile. You can use a profile from a different vocal or song mix and upload that profile to Fixate. Unbelievably cool, especially if you're working on like an EP or an album of songs that sound pretty similar and you want to just like get the mid-range very much the same as the other song. Awesome way to work. And the other thing that I want to say is, and the other tip I want to give you, is blend back the mix, right? You see here, you have a global mix amount. You can just like overdo everything and then blend it all back. And now you're in parallel and you're not doing as much processing. And I do that a lot with like reverbs and effects stuff. Like I'll make a mix and it'll be like so wide and beautiful and deep. And then I'm like, oh shit, it's probably too wet, And then I'll just blend back all of my returns, my reverb returns, my delay returns. And then I'm like, okay, now it's much better, right? That's the actual mix. Let's A/B these. Here's before.
Better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. And every stumble, every seed. Better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. And every stumble, every seed.
So much smoother. Like right away, my ears go, hell yeah. That feels good. And I want to turn it up. I want to turn it up and I want to dance to the low end. And I think that's kind of the key to getting a good mid-range, is passing that volume test. Do people turn your mix down, or do they want to turn it up and dance at the party? Do they go like, what is that? It's so annoying. I'm trying to have a conversation and drink a beer, but like this song is so annoying. And you've been there. You've been at those bars, those restaurants, those house parties where you're like, God damn, dude, someone turn this song down. Right? And then you got other songs where you're like, dude, turn that shit up. Right? Because the low end and it's just warm and it's beautiful. My final thoughts on mid-range. This is very key. These plugins, especially like a plugin like this, it can teach you a lot about listening. Are all your mixes kind of imbalanced in the same way? That might mean that you have a problem with your room. That might mean that your microphone and your setup is kind of weird and it's giving these resonance frequencies. Maybe you're over EQing things, over compressing things. There's a lot of things that can build up problems in your mid-range. And why are you always having those same issues? Solo out the bands, listen for the resonance, right? Like come in here and just check out, like all my mixes kind of have that similar thing. Now like try to fix it at the recording process. Fix it in your actual studio room with some maybe broadband absorbers, right? For your mid-range. Other thing is that you can bring in profiles again, and you can learn from those profiles. So this is not just a plugin for fixing your mid-range. This is a tool for you to learn about the mid-range and get better at it. All right. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys for Fixate mid-range so you can check it out and you can use it if you like. And hopefully you got a lot out of this video. If you did, just show some love. Hit the like button, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys got for questions or what you want to see more of on the channel. I'm just here to help you guys. So whatever you want. All right. And I'll see you next time. Peace.